What's up, everybody? It's Mike Ferraro back with another episode of Leaders of Lifestyle podcast. I am your host, and today we have a special guest, Eugene Litvak, here with us. How
Oh,
are
there
you,
we go.
Eugene?
Beautiful. Excellent. Amazing. Outstanding. Living the dream, baby.
All right. So, Eugene is amazing, awesome, and all that. And we're here to talk a lot today, especially to other agents who are going to watch this, about kind of business management, team growth. Eugene is a master at that. A lot of self-taught knowledge he's going to be able to give us today.
Mm.
Eugene runs one of the largest and best teams inside of Compass, one of the best teams across the country. He is known for a lot of things as far as contributing to Forbes. He's also part of the Tony Robbins Coaching Group. And there's a lot for us to kind of talk about. But Eugene, thank you again for being on with us.
Oh, man, my pleasure. And thank you for that very warm introduction. Those are some very kind words. And what are leaders of life? Is that what you said?
Leaders of Lifestyle.
Ah, it's so good. I love that name.
Oh, do you?
Love that name.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
it's
leading
great.
lifestyle.
Strong. It's very strong.
Yeah, well, it's when I first started in the business, I had no sales, and one of my good friends who did all our video work said, "You should be the luxury lifestyle agent." I'm like, luxury lifestyle agent. So we ran with it, had fun with it, and it actually started to work. And as you can't call it anymore. So when we started our group was Leaders of Lifestyle because I felt people would want to get behind that a little bit more. It made a little bit more sense.
Nice. Yeah, no, leaders of lifestyle. I mean, it's got everything you need in the title, right?
Yeah, right. I
It's
think so.
exciting. It's strong. It's a strong title, man. I like it. I like it.
So let's talk about you. You are you started in New York City as a real estate broker, right? And then you've grown this in team. Talk a little bit about and teams and the business side of it is probably one of the a lot of agents don't want to talk about the how it's not as sexy as us. So I want to sell a $30 million house or a condo or something. Instead of saying, oh, I want to look at my, let's look at our P&Ls. Let's look at our growth chart. Let's look at our organization. Let's run a business like a business. People are like, well, I just want to sell.
That's it.
When did you make the shift?
That's assuming they even know to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Like I would go a step further. I would go, if you interviewed, I don't know, 100 random team leaders across the country and said to them, show me your P&L, show me your org chart. How many team meetings are you having a week and what's the structure? Like, right. There's like, huh? You know, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I sold 100 million. Woohoo. You know, like,
yeah. I don't know where it went, but they sold 100 million.
That's right.
So when did you make the shift from, all right, I got the license, I'm selling a little bit, to I think the team route is where I want to go?
Yeah, so it was it's funny. I do a lot of this sort of work, and it's part of like, this whole dream big mentality. A couple of years ago, I just decided like I'd love to do some public speaking. Like I have so much to give, and I love paying it forward. Like, I mean, the truth is, people ask me like, "What do you love about real estate?" I mean, honestly, nothing. There's nothing about real estate that like turns me on. For me, everything's about people. I love moving people forward. And real estate just happens to be a vehicle that gives me access to so many people, both internally on my team of about 20, and also like all of our clients. I mean, 2021, we did close to 1,000 transactions. Wow. And it's just, we get to touch, and serve tons of people. So that's what it's really about for me. And people, so here we go. This is my fourth or fifth speaking gig, if you will, this month. And it doesn't always play out exactly the way, you think. Because in my mind at that time, it was like, I'm on a stage kind of thing. But this is going to reach lots of people. I've got my show now that reaches, almost 100,000 people. And it's like, that's by design, because now I have those muscles. But in the beginning, everything was just pure intuition, So I started in real estate in 2006. I started at City Habitats. I was so broke, man. Like, for me, real estate was like, ooh, like I've got all these options. Let me try this one. I was in a lot of debt, and I had a failed business, and I had some family get me into trouble with debt, for them or whatnot. And I did not know what I was going to do. I dropped out of school on this venture that I tried, this development venture. And I'm like 20 years old. I'm in hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I'm a college dropout, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. And serendipitously, I bump into a dude from high school. And it's the usual, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm doing real estate. Me too. It's so hard, right? He's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm making 5, 10 grand a month doing rentals at City Habitats in Manhattan. I was like, oh my God, Manhattan. Like, even if I wanted to, I can't afford cab money. I can't afford the commute. Like, I can't do it. And he's like, well, look, if you really want this, I commute back and forth every day anyways. You can hop in with me. Costs nothing to get started. Just getting your revenue license. You can borrow my camera. And that was it. Eugene Litvak, the real estate agent, was born. Just to date myself how far back this was, you took a camera, when you took pictures of apartments, you put ads on Craigslist, you waited for the phone to ring, and then you told people, if you were honest, you told people it's not actually my listing. Let me show you the things. So it started like that. That first year was rough, man. I've always been like an overachiever. Just I didn't quite have the muscles or the skills of how to utilize it.
Right.
Um, but that year started with I worked every day, man. The leads at that time, everything was phone call and walk-ins, and there was no Zillow or Street Easy. Internet was barely like a thing. Everything was everything was walk-in and things of that nature. So first person to come in the office, there was a signing sheet, got the leads, and then at 6 o'clock, you could stay back and watch the desk. And so I was in every day from 8 to 9 p.m. that entire year, weekends included. I took like 10 days off, and I made a whopping $22,000 revenue, not profit, revenue. But I learned the business, and I did the work. And my manager told me just stay in touch, and called him every 3 months to check in, and 9 months, 3 months before the end of the lease follow up. And that 22 turned into 45, and then by the third year I was making about 100 grand. And I just thought to myself, like, there's a whole bunch of things in the business that, like, I feel like I'm wasting my time on. Like, I shouldn't be writing ads anymore. I could totally find someone to write my ads that I'm going to put up on Craigslist. And I can have someone even putting the ads up. And then, I don't need to take out every single person. I can put together a list, show these apartments in these orders, and like have fun. Maybe someone else needs more business and they can handle that part for me. And so today that's taught. Actually, strategic coach teaches this. I learned this from Gordon Golub, who's a big shot on the Upper East Side. He like manages the East Coast basically.
I know
And it's called an
Gordon very, very
activity.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon. He's been a friend and a mentor for like 20 years. So Gordon from Strategic Coach teaches this thing, the activity inventory. And basically, for everyone that's watching this, if you're just starting a team, if you've got a mega team, whatever it is, your job, the quickest path to growth is to consistently hire yourself out of jobs. It's kind of similar to being a parent. Like, I'm a relatively new parent. I've got twins, are 6 years old. And, someone gave me this analogy and I kind of fell in love with it. When the kids are born, they can't do anything. They can't feed themselves. They can't walk. They can't move around. And so your job is to teach them these things. And eventually they know how to eat by themselves. So you're hired out of that job. And eventually they can walk. So you're hired out of that job, and so on and so forth. And kind of business is the same. So this thing called the activity inventory, basically you need to create 2 columns. If you're a pen and paper person, that's cool. I'm a spreadsheet guy. So I go to a spreadsheet and it's just 2 columns. Column B is where you start.
Okay.
And column B is just every single thing you do in a day. Open emails, respond to phone calls. And you want to be granular. Listen to voicemails, order lunch, create comp reports, do showings. They say you should run this list for 30 days. But as especially being New Yorkers, like who's got patience for 30 days? So you could do it for a week or 10 days. You'll end up with a pretty gnarly list, if you do it right, of everything that you do daily, right? And column A is meant to be the qualifier. You qualify every one of those activities between a 1 and a 4, but it's not prioritization. It's your qualifying. How qualified must one be to perform this task? 1 is incompetent. 2 is competent. 3 is excellent. 4 is unique ability. And so you qualify every one of those things between 1 and a 4. And your mission is how can you design a world where you're in the 3s and 4s and all the 1s and 2s are delegated out. That's the game.
Right.
That's the game. So you do that regularly over and over again. You'll hire yourself out of jobs. And so without having it that contextualized back then, I kind of did that innately off my gut.
Right.
And I built my team then. It was, 3 or 4 agents. And then I believed in teams before teams were even like a thing. But it was like that. It was this sort of intuition, by the gut game. Probably till 2017. That's when I did my first Tony Robbins event in 2012. But 2017, I made the big jump to join his platinum partnership, and I got to travel the world for a year. That first time, because I've done it several times since then, I got to travel and I got to rub shoulders with some of the world's biggest entrepreneurs. I mean, millionaires, 100 millionaires, billionaires, and I just watched the way they all use their time. And all of a sudden, I got obsessed with treating time as the most valuable commodity, even more valuable than money. Investing in staff or leverage or outsourcing ceased to be scary, and it entirely became like a game. All right, well, here's where I'm spending my time now. Here's all the ones and twos today. And it's ironic that that keeps changing. Once upon a time, like, taking out $1 million buyer would have been not even a four, it would have been like a five. And today I don't take out buyers at all. We have a team for that. Like, it's not the best use of my time today. The best use of my time is coaching and leading our troops. So I'm on a rant a little bit, but ultimately it started as total like intuition and gut check, and then it developed into a system. And now it's kind of cool. Like, I'm kind of known at Compass as like the go-to for, org chart and KPIs and financial accounting for a business and team building. And, sometimes you just put one foot in front of the other for a while, and you turn around and you're like, oh snap, I like know this stuff now. I kind of have some level. There's always room to grow. There's some level of mastery now over these things.
It's amazing. I mean, 1,000 deals, 20 agents is 50 deals an agent.
Yeah, yeah. It's a busy year.
Yeah,
It's a
no
busy year.
shit.
Well, keep in mind we do rentals and sales. So 80% of that were rentals, and rentals we have a lot of buildings, and so that year it was the big. I mean, it was the big post-COVID huge return to New York City year. So we were, yeah, it was a busy year, man.
But even if
Everybody, I mean,
that's
yeah,
crazy. Even if you even
yeah,
20% of 1,000 is 200 deals.
yeah, sales. Yeah, it
200
was a
deals in
busy
New
year,
York
man.
City ain't nothing. That's
Yeah, it was
amazing.
good. We said it's really ironic too, because at the end of 2020 it was a record year for us, and not everyone, like, I'll tell you, man, the hardest part of any business is not lead gen, it's not profit. The hardest part of any business is culture, is building the right team. It's the hardest part of any business because there's no exact game plan. Like, no one can give you a follow these steps. That there's a game plan to going on a listing presentation and working with a buyer, and like there's a game plan for all that stuff. And there's some, general rules to follow in building a team, but you're dealing with people, and people have all different personalities. And even people that have personalities are going through different things in their life. And on the one hand, you have to be, as a CEO, your job is vision and culture. You can't delegate that out. That's your job. Setting the vision, setting the KPIs, or for some, I shouldn't assume everybody knows what KPIs are. They're key performance indicators. You can call them goals, you can call them targets. The business term is like KPIs. And so that's the job of the CEO. You can't delegate, you can outsource that one. That's yours. Culture and vision is yours. That's why Robert Refkin moves around all over the country. His job is to make sure that all of the stakeholders, everybody at Compass, continues to love Compass. Like, that's his job. You can't give that one away. And but people are going through different things at different times. So on the one hand, you have to balance like standards. This is how we do it, and here's the line, and anything below the line, like, you can't be here anymore, and you've got to be tough in that sense because to uphold standards, because A players want to be in an A player environment, but you've got to juggle that with being empathetic and understanding and supportive.
Yeah.
And it's a constant push and pull where you say, hey, this is unacceptable, and where you say, hey man, let's talk, are you okay, what's going on with you? And you got to be able to do
Yeah.
both at a high level.
Yeah.
So that's really the hardest part, is creating culture and knowing who to hire. I mean, none of us like firing people or letting people go. Like
Yeah.
that's all. No
Yeah.
matter how many times you've done it, it's uncomfortable, especially if you care.
Right.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
that's probably the most important thing.
I coached, I was an athlete for a long time. I've coached the national team for years and
Oh,
coached
nice. What sport?
teams, swimming. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
beautiful. Nice.
So I being a director of competitive aquatics and running a budget and taking care of people and doing different things like
Yeah.
that is super important. Um, but again, it really comes down to, I think some people are built a little bit more with the business mentality and they can see the
Yeah.
team and they can work it. And there's other people who really kind of excel as individuals, and kind of understanding who you are and where you fall into
Yeah.
that is super important. There's some people who are
Yeah.
like, I would love to be the principal of the school, and then there's people I would hate it. I would love to be the president, and I would hate
Mm,
it. I would love
yeah.
to be the owner of that company. Well, I would hate to be the owner of that. Like
Well,
it
and you know what's interesting? You're so right. You're so right. And what's interesting about that is everyone that says that, it's because that thing, the title, the name, the whatever, represents something different to them. So words don't really mean anything, right? The only thing that matters about a word is the meaning we assign to it. So if I said a word like danger, well, that means completely different things to different people, right?
Mm,
And so when you say something like principle, or like principle, someone's meaning is I'm in charge, I get to help people, yada yada, and it could be positive, and someone else could look at that and be like,
in
oh,
trouble.
burden, so much work, yeah, like
Yeah.
and so the truth is, we so often we're throwing language around, but every human has their own conditioning, their own program, their own rules, their own meanings, and we could be having a conversation and walk away with totally two different understandings of that conversation
Mm,
just because of the words. So and then there's this piece of like social media, and you only see what's sexy, and and now it's like, oh, it's cool, Eugene does all these deals, and he doesn't even show anymore, but you don't see the like 100-hour weeks for 15 years, and the continuation of like, I carry all the burden. I mean, if I showed you my P&L and I showed you my monthly expenses, regardless of how much money I make, that's every month, that's like a ticking clock. And if you pull back the curtain and you see what's really going on, and really what the sacrifices were and the risks were, it's like, so I think the combination of both those things. But you're right. People in business, there's basically four hats. This is from Robert Kiyosaki, and actually my business coach, Keith Cunningham. They were partners a long time ago. In business, there's basically four hats. You've got the artist hat, you've got the management hat, you've got the an owner hat, and you've got the investor hat. Those are sort of the four hats. Now, some people are under the theory that everyone's got one hat, and I just believe all hats are learned behavior. I think we all gravitate towards one of those hats. And for real estate agents, it's the artist. Like, you're out there, you're doing the craft. What's interesting is, like, oftentimes Compass, if someone's looking to build a team, they'll call on me to like kind of talk the person through or give some tips or whatnot. And the first question I ask is like, why do you want to build a team? And unanimously, the answer I get, I mean, 99% of the time, like, the answer I get is, well, I need more time. To which I respond with, so you're going to now coach, manage, train, hire, fire, and you think you'll have more time?
mm.
Like, and then it's always like a, huh, like, not to
Yeah.
take the wind out of their sails, but huh, like,
Yeah.
and the
I
truth is,
had a team there in 2018, and we were running a very multiple. I had my own office. He's paying your multiple admins. I'm paying rent. I have 18 to 20 agents underneath me. I'm spending all my time coaching and training and trying to do it. And I'm sitting there going, I'm supposed to be really good at this because
yeah,
I'm a very good coach and trainer. And this is what I do for a living. My father was a coach, communicating, coaching, and motivating, and that whole thing.
mm-hmm,
And you're sitting there, and now you're real life. It's not like being a teacher in a school where you were supposed to be there anyway.
uh-huh,
You were a professor. You're supposed to,
that's
now you're
right,
like, all right, well, what? So I'm paying for this stuff no matter what. Okay, so there's all
that's
these
it,
variables start to come
that's
in, and
it,
it hits a little different when it's your
mm-hmm,
pocketbook or your
for
wallet. It
sure,
hits a little different
for
when it
sure,
hits your bottom line, and that monthly budget
yeah,
for that assistant is paid no matter what. That admin budget
yeah,
is paid. That marketing budget is paid. It can be different. So that's why I feel like
yeah,
I hear you.
yeah,
But I
for
do
sure,
think that there's people who are really great artists and love being an artist and can
yeah,
flow
yeah,
in being in that artist. And then
for
there are
sure,
people who um, can run a team. And then there are people like you who, and I talked to a bunch of different people about this, and being a coach myself, there is a little bit of these things that are like X factors, and there is learned
mm-hmm,
behaviors. But I feel like somebody like you is doing
yeah,
something at this level, who
yeah,
has the goal in mind that they wanted to do it and has built it up this long. There's like that
yeah,
elite group of people who can
yeah,
run something like that.
yeah, and it's like, so if I'm honest, I've always been a leader, or had leadership skills. I mean, I grew up playing basketball. I was always team captain,
Yeah.
and like, my give a shit meter was just always high, man. I was the annoying guy. I was the guy on the team that if the coach stepped out and said, do 10 suicides, and someone did 8, I'd be like, bro, get your ass to the line. I'm not trying to lose this game because you were lazy in practice.
Oh, that's you.
And it'd be like, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to tell coach, like, you're going to do, just get to the line, like, so there was some like standards always. I'm a really confident person, but that confidence entirely comes from my preparation. Like, because when you, like, if I was to ask you, Mike, 1 to 10, how confident are you? If I asked you your social security number, you could answer it, right? Like,
Good.
because you know it, right? Like, you're prepared, you know it.
Yeah.
So the only time people lack confidence is when they haven't done the work to be prepared, right? And so
Mm.
I've always done the work. Like, anybody that knows me, it's just like, I'm an immigrant, and I came from the Soviet Union as a refugee, and it's just in our blood. Like, our thing is like, you got to outwork everybody. It's kind of like, so actually part of the challenge becomes when you start to do what you only got so much time. And part of the challenge is to like kind of shed that and start to
Right.
work smart through leverage and not just hard. But honestly, you can take that work hard model to everything. And to your point, this is what I was starting to say earlier, where what's most important about running a team is clarity. Everybody has to know their role. And it can't just be based on feel. So in our company, we have an org chart, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it took me nearly 6 years to learn how to do this skill. Like, you would think, if I said to you, Mike, what I want you to do right now for your team is just put together an org chart. You would think like, oh, piece of cake, right? But to do it at the level that it needs to be done, 6 years it took me. Maybe I'm just a slow learner, but it took me like 6 years to put it together. And the org chart should have every position on it, and every position has two uh, pieces of information, if you will. One is the top 5 roles or responsibilities, right? And this is the most important one, the top 3 to 5 outcomes of the role. Not the person, but the role. So the agents are easy, like this many deals, this many transactions, this much GCI, like those are kind of easy. The support roles get a little bit more difficult. So, for example, the person that heads up our marketing, finance, and operations department, we expect 100% accuracy on the finance. There's nothing worse as an agent than not being paid on time or being paid correctly.
Yeah.
So we hold it at a very high, like, no excuses type environment. And over time, we like 100% is a tough target to hit. You can't make any mistakes. So we missed on that for a while. And then we just built in all these checks and balances. So by the time it gets submitted, it's impossible for it to be wrong because we had done all of what could have gone wrong in advance. But without having that KPI, you don't get to that outcome. And you just keep
Right.
making mistakes and chargebacks and all that stuff, especially on the accounting level. So annoying. He's got a KPI that's 98% execution of our marketing calendar. So we push out 90 pieces of content per month.
Wow.
Social media, mailers, e-marketing, everything is on the schedule. And at this point in time, like, that's his KPI. That's what he's judged on. So he's measured by. So I'm very proud to report that 7 straight months, we are perfect. We had 1 month where our social media vendor was having staffing issues, and we had some post issues that month. So our worst month, we were at 97% that 1 month.
Wow.
Every other month was 100. And so because you put it on the board and you say, this is how, I don't really care what time you come in there out of the office. I don't care what you wear. I mean, like, of course, there's standards, but for the most part, like, you don't bother everybody with the day to day. These are your outcomes. I'm here. I'm available to coach and help if you need anything. But part of being an owner is they own the outcome. You don't chase. You don't ask them how's it going. They have to come to you. And there's got to be a reporting system for them to report in, what's going on all these different functions. So when you say org chart, like, putting a number down on a piece of paper is easy, but actually using it and executing and measuring against it regularly, and that's the fabric, that's the identity of your shop. That part's hard, but it's taken a long time to get here and a lot of time and money. But man, now it's like, it's as if I have this really finely crafted F-16, and I've got all these dials and levers, and I can take this jet anywhere I want to go because I know how to fly it. You know what I mean? And the metaphor there is like the team and all of our people. And further to that, there's this really big gap between employer understanding of their employees, and the same with contractors. So Harvard did a study, and they polled, I think it was 100 random employers and then like 100 random employees, and they gave them 10 words. What's most important to, so the employers pick the 10 most important things in order for your employees, And they give the same exact thing to the employees. Pick the 10 most important things to you in order from most important to least important.
Right.
And on there were all the things you'd expect. On there was like pay, vacation days, 401k, like stuff like that. And then the polar opposite scale. On there was like job safety, feeling safe to speak and communicate, clarity in my position, culture, feeling like I belong, freedom of voice, things like that, right? And so about 9 out of 10 employees, 90+%, all had financial targets, some sort of financial thing at the top. And about 90% of all the employees had the reverse, had safety, had freedom of speech, had feeling comfortable being part of a family. So the truth is, like, if you're making 85 grand a year, I mean, $5,000 raise isn't going to make or break your life, but coming to work every day and feeling valued or part of a family, like that's the edge. I mean, Compass gets it, right? Like Compass gets it in the culture they try to create. And so just understanding these things, just knowing these things, like if you really want to influence someone, you want to create a great culture, just understand cutting a check doesn't get you there. Like we do a quarterly team gathering, right? Just it used to be real wild before COVID. We did the Apollo, we did AC, we did trips, places. And so with COVID, we pulled back a bit. Now we're ramping it up. So the first one, I wanted to keep it really simple. We picked a local Italian restaurant here in Williamsburg that I've got a relation with the owner. We locked down the back. We got in the back. We had dinner, and here's what I did. I bought 2 bottles of tequila, and I was like, everyone's obligated to have. You could see, you don't got to take a whole shot, but like sip or whatever. It's like a drinking thing. And I was like, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna say, I'm looking for everyone to say 2 things as part of your toast. Number one, what do you appreciate most about the team? Like, what do you love most about being here? And then you're going to nominate someone and you're just going to say what you appreciate most about them. That's your toast. We clink, we have a cheers. And then whoever got nominated will go next. What do you appreciate most about the team? Who do you nominate? So on and so forth. And so I thought it would be done with this in like 30 to 45 minutes, right? Like everyone's going to get up.
Dude. It's 20
It is. I didn't force all the shots. But
Oh
I'm rushing. I'm rushing. So for me, this is light work.
For you, it's nothing. I would have been out by like 2 or 3.
But it's like if you want to sip 5, 6 of this, I wasn't.
Yeah,
The
I
old
bet.
me would have been like, take this shot or get out of here. But I've grown up a bit. So here's what was cool. I thought it'd be like 30 or 40 minutes. I thought people would say like, I love the systems. I nominate Nancy. I love that she's such a good leader. Bam, bam, done, right? And it started off a little bit like that. Like the first toast was like a minute. The second toast maybe 2 minutes. About a third or fourth toast, one person had started going around the table and saying what they appreciate about every single person. And that just became the new thing. Dude, we were making toasts for 2.5 hours. And at the end of that, everyone had a real great time, probably partially because of all the tequila.
Probably.
But the common consensus leaving that event was, wow, how much did we learn about each other? How much did we gel as a team? So true story, like a week later, I was asked by Compass to speak at a panel of how to grow your business to like 300 or 400 agents. And right at the whole team came to support, which is very sweet. I'm like, guys, let's go grab a drink after. And so we go over and the toasting kind of happens by itself organically. And all of a sudden the language goes from, I love being on this team because the tools, the system, the opportunity, the coaching, to, wow, like I really feel like I found my family. Wow, I really feel like these are my people. And it's like, you just can't do that on Zoom, and that's not an efficiency thing. Like you've got to have a vehicle to create a workspace where people are going to want to be around and be a part of, and you can't do that that's not a check. Like, I mean, sure, the dinner costs money, but you got to create an environment where these things are possible. And so again, like I just think it's if I could give any advice to somebody looking to start a team, number one, your first hire must be an admin. It should not be another agent. It has to be an admin. And in order to hire an admin, you're going to cut a check for, 50, 60 grand as a starting point. My EA makes well into 6 figures. Now you're going to be cutting this check every month. So you better have a good idea of what they're doing and what that should look like. Isn't like pick up the phone and answer emails. It should be a KPI. Like your job is to make sure X and the person, and both of you guys can refer to this targets as a measure of they're doing a good job or a bad job. And with that alignment and that clarity, magic happens. So that'd be the most important part. Is first, hire an assistant. If you think you can't afford to do it, you can't afford not to do it, because that assistant, what's their job? All your ones and twos. That's how you start. You make the list, You give them all the ones and twos. You do the threes and the fours, and you watch what happens to your business and your bank account. And second to that is you've got to build this environment of like culture. And then you just keep doing the activity index. You'll keep your threes and fours of today will become your ones and twos tomorrow. Then you make the next hire and so on. And you just rinse and repeat that process till you're 20 people and top 10 in the country and, you know, all that good stuff. It's by design at a certain point, you know, but gut and intuition is really important. Like you got to always follow your gut too. And that's an important piece.
It's having gone through building the team, hiring admin, creating systems and processes, having gone through all of that, I have a glimpse, a small piece of an understanding of what you're talking about. I just felt like, you know, like to go back to your analogy of when you're an athlete and doing the suicides, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that the coach left and you're picking it like, no, you're going to do that. You're going to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably be the guy who absolutely would have done the suicides when nobody was watching. And then I would have stayed extra and done suicides.
Oh, I love it.
I would have.
We would have got along real well.
Oh, you would have loved me.
We would have got along real well.
But I would not have been the guy to yell at people to do it. And I think that's why when although I was a leader, I was a coach, I was a 2-time captain at my college, I was an All-American, leading people in coaching and training and doing all, I loved it. But then there got to a point where I just felt like for me, sometimes just putting it here, especially where my goal, I mean, I think it's different for everybody else. You know, my goal was to work in a certain price point in a very specific area and grow something. And I had the vision of what I wanted to be. And when I was going in the team world, I was like, I don't know if I'm going in the direction that I want to be going. Right, wrong, or indifferent. But to hear somebody like
there's no right or wrong.
But hearing the way you're you know, you could tell anybody who's going to watch this is going to see how this fits you and how this is you have.
Oh, thanks, man.
It starts here. It's got to start here.
That's right.
So I want to talk about and before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about because man, you kind of talked about it, the Tony Robbins. I'm going to bypass talking about that. I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about your show.
Okay.
I want to talk about the show and also some of the marketing content that you do put out. You said you put out 96 pieces of content. So before we talk about your show, are you open to talking about, let's say, take your 3 top pieces of content that you feel like are working for your team right now that get put out?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm an open book, man. Feel free to ask me anything. And don't feel, you know, you and I chatted a little bit before, but don't feel constrained by time either. I think what you're doing is so dope. I think anyone that takes time out of their schedule to create content that will help others, man, I am all about that. Like life's submission, so we should all be helping each other. So if you wanted to have me back 50 times, if it would help people, I'm game. So
tequila when we meet, that's all.
Done. Don't threaten me with a good time, man.
Okay.
I grew up in the way of not pressuring people, but I still love a good tequila nut. You know?
All right, that's okay.
So content. So it's really chunked into 3 sections, I'd say. It's email, it's social media, and it's mailers, right? Those are our 3 chunks. The show I would put under the social media umbrella. I do a monthly show called TLT Talks. We have on a guest that, you know, it's either I'm unpacking like you're doing with me now. I'm either unpacking knowledge from them, or it's just a pitch and catch. Like, you know, this month we had on our team mortgage broker. Rates are changing, things are changing. I actually just bought a property and I just went through it myself. And people have this misconception that people have this story, this narrative, that rates are really high and there's nothing they can do about it. And the fact is that's not true. We just secured a 4% interest only 10-year loan. And so that's possible, you know? And so I'm like, what a good opportunity to unpack what are the different types of what's that?
Did you buy points?
Yeah, we just bought down points. Exactly. So, and that's not the only vehicle, right? So we brought him on and we said, listen, here's the different types of mortgage products. There's a lot of people out there don't even know that there's something other than a 30-year fix, and they hear ARM or IO, you know, adjustable rate mortgage, and they get terrified because their parents and their parents all did these fixed rates, and like it's not the only way to do a loan. As a matter of fact, I'd probably say it should be last choice of how to do a loan. But you got to understand the financial optics. And then we talked about ways to buy down points, right? You could do it with cash. You can do it, you know, they're very aggressive in the wealth component. If you transfer over 250 grand, they give you a quarter point reduction. If you transfer over 500 grand, they give you a half point reduction. Like that's significant. I mean, not everyone's got that kind of money, but for those that could take advantage of it. So that's the show, right? We bring people on to unpack things. I've had a bunch of Compass leadership on the show. I've had some celebrities in the show. Anything that I think people will find valuable, right? So, like for example, this isn't really real estate, but I've the only thing that I've never like mastered in my life, like I've everything that I've ever went after, I've achieved. But there's one thing, one Achilles heel. My weight, man, I work out like an animal, but as aggressive as I work out, I eat. And so I've yo-yoed
Really?
forever in weight. And now I found this one guy that I found him online through YouTube, yada yada. But he just seems like a real cool dude. And it's a very structured approach to working out, eating, all of it, which is like sort of my love language. And so I'm gonna ask him, but hey man, do you want to come on? It's not really real estate, but 100,000 people are gonna see the show, and especially in America, this is a thing. Like being healthy and health conscious, and it's a thing a lot of people struggle with. So although it's not necessarily real estate related, if he's down to do the show, like that could help people, especially going into the holiday season, and how many people are going to set some kind of weight goals and New Year's resolution.
Great,
So I'm like, great. I try to think about how we can help.
yeah.
So social media is one. We do X amount of posts and stories per month. So that's the majority of the 90. We do, I might be off by one or two, forgive me, but I think we do 12 or 13 posts and then another like 13 or 14 stories. It's basically like 2 a day, most days except the weekend for both
Right.
posts and stories. We do e-marketing. We do 9 emails a month. On Tuesdays, we do something called X Factor, where we share. When you share this with me, we'll probably circulate this. I wrote for Forbes. I have my show. So whatever we do in the way of content, we kind of share that on Tuesdays. Lately a lot of press has been coming in, so we'll share whatever there is like that. And then Thursdays we do an open house blast. So that's the Tuesday and Thursday. That's 2 a week. That's 8 a month. And then once a month we'll do our newsletter. It's called TLT VIPPP, People Performance Property. And so we'll highlight, what we've done in the way of performance. We'll highlight 2 people from the team, and then we'll talk about, listings or contracts or what. So that's 9 pieces of email, and then mailers. We do 1 to 2 mailers a month to our farm. So those 3 chunks together, that makes 90. It's a very holistic approach, and like everywhere I go, like I mean, I went to Atlanta for the Compass retreat a couple weeks ago. I felt like a rock star. Like everyone that I bumped into, oh, I get your newsletter. Oh, I follow your stuff. Your Muay Thai is going so well. I love your kids. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, look, I get that social media can be toxic and that like it's a tool, right? And tools can be used for good or for bad. And I get all of the toxicity of social media. If we were gonna have a conversation, should social media have ever been created? Like that's a whole separate chat. But it's like it does exist and you can't run from it. And especially being someone that's an entrepreneur, we're all entrepreneurs, like it's a game you have to play if you want to be successful. So if there's a game to be played, play it at the highest level. I mean, it's the only way to play a game is play it at the highest level.
Play to win. Yeah.
So you put these 3 components together and it just becomes very holistic. And we don't really prospect at all. Like we don't cold call, we don't call FISBOs, we don't call expireds. All of our business, 100% of our business is return, referral, or a response to one of these pieces of marketing. And so that's pretty cool too, because like if you think about being an agent and just sitting there cold calling 4 hours a day, like my God, who wants to do that? I guess some people build their whole business that way and they love it. They love the clothes and all that. And I got no judgment. I'm not saying that either is wrong or right. As a matter of fact, I'm probably wrong because if we did that, we just do even more.
Sure.
But it's just not, that's not where our heart lies. Our heart lies with like, just do a really great job for your people and they'll refer people, that's where we put our energy.
So 2 questions. One, when you say mailers, are you mailing like farming an area?
Yeah. So we the first condo that I owned was in Williamsburg. It's this really great building called The Edge. And so I actually, there's this concept in personal development, which carries over to business development called burn the boats. So it comes from, Spanish Inquisition. If you wanted to take a land, the first thing the captain would do is burn the boats because now it's like take the land or die, right? It just gives you a whole different level
Right.
of energy, conviction, etc. So I've done that. I've done that a lot in my business career. I was living in a 700 square foot rent stabilized apartment and I took a buyer to the edge. He bought the third apartment ever, and I saw this thing and I was like, I have to have it. I just see myself growing it and developing a sales business and yada yada. So I signed a contract. I borrowed money from my then girlfriend's mom. Now she's my wife. I borrowed money from my then girlfriend's mom, and I basically signed up for, in 2 years when this thing is built, my monthly carry is gonna be $3,500. So I got 2 years to go from being someone that pays $700 a month to someone that pays $3,500 a month. And I just believed in my ability to do the work and get there. And we did. And so I've been farming that building for a long time, probably 10 years. That's the only one. Actually, we have an outcome. One of the KPIs of my head of marketing is we need to be farming 5 buildings by the end of next year. So now we're going to get singularly focused in that initiative to take all the things that we're doing that are working really well for the edge and carry them over into 3 to 5 other buildings. But yeah, so it's postcards to that particular, but again, it's holistic because they get postcards. We do events 3 times a year to which we invite them. We'll do like a trivia night. We'll do a trick-or-treating thing. This upcoming year, we decided to involve Valentine's Day. I don't know exactly how we're going to do it yet, but the intention is to just deliver like roses on Valentine's Day or somewhere. Again, I don't got to worry about it because I've got a head of marketing and he's going to worry about it and he's going to produce a plan and he's going to tell me what the check is that I have to cut. And then we're going to all figure it out, but everyone's got their role in it, which is really cool, man. It's really cool for the first time in my career. When we want to think about initiative, I don't have to be the one to come up with everything because we've got really strong people. That part's very exciting. So yeah, it's mailers along with these couple other things. But all these people in the building that we're meeting, we're getting their emails, so they're getting our newsletters. We're exchanging social media, so we're following each other. And so all 3 platforms work cohesively. Because any one of the 3 on its own probably won't work, right? You need all 3. You need all 3. Someone's going to unsubscribe from your newsletter, but it's cool because you're still IG buddies, and they're gonna get a flower, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so someone might unfollow you, but they can't. But maybe they come to an event because they love free food. So you just got to be in people's face. I mean, that's the reality. It's like you got to be in people's purview, or else they're just gonna, not because they don't want to work with you, but they just might forget about you. It's fair.
Right. I love it. Your show, what platform is it on? Is it long form YouTube or?
It's Instagram Live. So once the third Thursday of each month, we'll come on 30 minutes. I prep the guests for. We have everything in our world as a process. So there's a Google document. There's a here's how we do this video. They get it a couple of weeks in advance.
Right.
Then we get on for 30 minutes right before the show, do a little prep, clean up the intention. And then it's a 30-minute IG live. And that goes to our YouTube page. And that also gets circulated in our newsletter to, I think it's 110,000 or something. I don't know. I don't manage it, but somewhere over 100,000 people. Nice. And on that list is everyone. It's everybody that's in Rebney under New York. So it's all the brokers. We got developers and clients and friends and family and people I like that I have no idea who they are, because if you send me an email, you're gonna end up on my list.
Yeah, and so
yeah, that's it. If you unsubscribe, that's cool. We won't bug you. Like, we're not trying to spam anybody. But I can't tell you how. I give you 2 examples really easy. I get a call about 6 months ago from a client. I helped them sell. They're a developer. I helped them sell one of their condo units, an individual unit. It was a resale, like 7-8 years ago. And I did a poor job of staying in touch. I didn't call them after that. I didn't stay in touch. Naughty Eugene, right? But we do this newsletter thing. And so 6 or 7 years later, whatever the exact math is, they reach out of nowhere. Hey, Eugene, hope you've been doing well. Oh my God, I'm great. How are you? Listen, we get all your stuff. For 6 years, they're getting my newsletters. They never talk to me. They've got an internal brokerage and they launched 2 new developments, and their internal brokerage wasn't getting it done. Not bad or good. They just, they weren't finding success. And they're like, look, we've watched your marketing evolve. This is a quote. We've watched your marketing evolve over the last 6 years, and we are so impressed. We feel like we're ready to give this to an outside broker, and we think you're the only one we want to give it to. You got to give us what you can do, and yada, yada. So, you can't look for immediate results. For 6 years, they got my stuff and watched it and didn't unsubscribe. And 6 years later, boom, I got 2 new developments, total of 50 units. And that's one story. There's a myriad of stories like that. They're not all new developments of 20, 30 units, but there's so many stories like that. That's like, oh, I get all your stuff. Oh, yada, yada, oh, this or that. So you just got to be out there, you know, like, and maybe that's one of your ones and twos. Maybe one of your ones and twos is like, I hate social media. I hate doing posts. I'm uncomfortable in front of the camera. First, I say to you, nobody cares.
Yeah.
All growth happens when you're uncomfortable. So get uncomfortable and do it anyways. But then maybe you hire, like, so we work with Very Social, from
York, Ryan.
yeah, Ryan. So we work with Very
Ryan,
Social. I think they
I
do a
just
real
had
nice job.
Ryan. We just filmed in Greenwich. I had him out for the first time in Greenwich. So watch
There
out
you
for that
go. Yeah,
YouTube
look,
video. That's coming up soon.
there you go. Yeah, look, I think he does a real nice job. And so, you know, he handles not only my social media, but also that of my team. Now, like, you'll talk to Ryan, I'm 150% the most involved client he has. Like, no, none of his other clients are as involved as I am. But I like being involved in the content side. Just, I don't want to be involved in the logistics side. So, okay, fine. For a check of X, all that gets handled. And now our social media is really strong, and their creative constantly helps me. And I come up with ideas, they come up with ideas, and it's this beautiful like brainstorm thing that happens. But again, like, you have to have all things. If I'm not doing all three of these channels, if I'm not doing that, I mean, I'm not going to do the math for you on what 50 units. By the way, one building is 99% in contract, the other building is 75% in contract. So call that 45 sales inside of 6 months, right? Like, I mean, you think that covers a marketing assistant?
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, you just have to think that way. You have to think that way. And it's not easy to go from individual agent or artist to entrepreneur mindset. It's kind of why I love Compass, because, man, Robert Refkin has never once made a speech without putting the word entrepreneur in there. You know, like, and that's the message that every agent should hear. You're not even an agent. You are an entrepreneur. If you carry a 1099, if you do not get a regular paycheck, you are an entrepreneur, and therefore sky's the limit. The only limit to any company is the vision of the CEO,
Right.
right? And we are all the founders of our companies. You know, the person out there doing 10 rental deals in a year, you're the founder of your company. So what's it look like to go from 10 to 50? Who cares about 10 to 12? What do you got to do to go from 10 to 50? Imagine Robert and Ori were like hanging out and thinking like, well, Corcoran does 2 billion a year or whatever they do. We just need 100 grand. Let's just figure out how to make 100 grand. Like, can you imagine that was their thinking instead of like, let's change the world kind of thing, you know? So,
It's
anyways,
all.
I could riff on this stuff for a long time. I love this kind of content, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's big picture thinking. It's high level CEO stuff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's really big growth mindset work, and you're one of the
yeah.
best at it. And obviously, that's why you're
Oh,
getting
thanks, man.
recognized. And it's only
Thanks,
just the
man.
beginning, because you're going to be going on bigger and crazier,
Ha
and get
ha ha.
two three
Thank
thousand
you.
sales and everything. Do you refer business out to other states, or do you mainly stay in New York?
No, we are everywhere. We are. It's actually it's another KPI we just did. So X amount of outbound and inbound referrals. I just started a campaign. I did it the first time this past month. I sent a video to 100 top team leaders around Compass, and I just shot a video. I shared Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, which are our markets reports. Like, hey, here's very high. You don't need to read a 10-page report. Here's 30 seconds on each market and what's going on. And then I just said, like, look, you know, these are my strengths. My strengths are financial accounting, you know, the accounting part of a business. My strengths are mindset and coachability and that kind of thing, and obviously real estate. And so once a month, I'm just going to send something out that's like, you know, we have this fun hashtag EL2cents, and I'll just send out a distinction. And I'm just going to start sending out a monthly video, 5 minutes to 100 people. That's going to turn into 1,000 people and whatever. And I sent the first one out on Monday. Dude, I sent out 100 of them, 35 responses, bunch of ideas. Oh my God, I love it. Thank you so much. I mean, it took me 10 minutes. I clicked record. I just talked, you know, and that's it. And so, because if you just wait for a referral, you'll never talk to people,
Right. Right.
you
Exactly.
know, like,
Exactly. Well,
so
when you get the big clients come to Connecticut, send them my way, and I'll
you got it,
send
Mike.
a.
You got it, man.
Um, well, listen, you are a wealth of knowledge. We will absolutely have you back on, but I want to ask you: do you have time for a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure. Fire
All
away.
right. Well, I've asked you a lot of questions already, but these are to get to know you a little bit more personally. So we'll rapid fire these things. Okay. All
Go
right.
for it.
Here we go. First question: what's the best sandwich?
Ooh. All right, don't judge me. All right, don't judge me. The best sandwich, in my opinion, uh, a go-to answer would be like a Cat's Deli Reuben or something of that nature. But I really love a turkey sandwich on a bagel, but with cream cheese. Just something about the texture. Something about
Turkey
the
and cream
texture.
cheese.
Yeah, turkey, American cheese, lettuce, tomato on a plain bagel, scooped, not toasted, with cream cheese.
You've had it before. It's not
Uh,
okay.
once,
So listen,
once or twice. Once or twice.
that's you. I never heard that before. I think I might have to try that. Okay. No
Give it a
judging.
shot. Give it
There's
a
no
shot.
judging.
Give it a shot. You
Um,
like it. It's a fun texture.
I like all those things, so I will try that. I'm fine with
There
all
you
those things.
go. There you go. It's hard
What's
to
one
mess up cream cheese. Cream cheese is good on everything.
oh, yeah. I love cream cheese and jelly on a bagel too. That's
Hmm.
what's one thing you own that you really should throw out?
Ooh, God, there's probably so much. Clothing. I'm like a hoarder. I'll like buy it. I'll put it in the back of the closet.
Never wear.
Basketball shorts, socks, like, and then my wife will always yell at me because my closet's like erupting.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, just like old clothing.
Gotcha. What's the scariest animal?
Scary. I kind of love animals. All right, I'd probably go like yeah, time for a quick story about this.
Sure.
All right. 3 months ago, I went swimming with the sharks in Florida,
Okay.
and I'll save you all the details of how I got to this place. But basically, I'm face to face with a shark. This is open water,
Uh-huh.
and the shark's about 10 feet below me. And the shark's name is Smiley because it's got this big smile that it can't hide.
It's never good when you know the shark's name.
And the
Okay.
shark, and the shark beelines it for me, right?
Yeah.
And I make a decision in that moment. I'm not moving. Like I'm staying put. And that was the scariest encounter I've ever had with an animal. I've been gorilla trekking. I've done safari, open vehicle lines. I mean, I've done a lot with animals. I really love animals. And the shark gets as close as 1 foot from my face, turns, swims under me. Its fin brushing against my whole body. Its top fin. Yeah, I needed a change of underwear in that moment. I mean, after the experience, I was like, "Oh my God, what did I just do?" So that was probably the most frightening encounter with an animal of my life, and that was literally 6 months ago.
Okay. So you win that one. That's pretty damn good. That's awesome. All right. Let's change pace. Let's change pace. Apples or oranges?
Apples.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever asked someone for their autograph?
Yes.
Who was it?
I mean, plenty. So I got well, Tony Robbins was a big one for me when I first met him. I asked him. Oh gosh, who else? There were so many. Basketball players from games. I just actually hung out with the Fauda guys and the main actor from Tehran, but I didn't ask them for their autograph. Oh, I'm blanking a bit. Definitely a bunch of NBA
Okay.
players, like some actors. I'm not very shy. I know you can't tell, but I'm not very shy. So like it wouldn't it wouldn't be like, oh my God. I'd be like, yeah, cool, let's do it. I
Yeah.
don't even usually it's a photo. Usually it's like, yo, let's take a
A
selfie so I can
selfie.
get it on
Okay.
the
Yeah.
gram.
That's the new
Yeah,
autograph. Right.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But oh, you know what? Tom Brady. Tom Brady. I got to hang out with Tom Brady a couple years ago. Tom Brady, Sean Phelps, and Michael White at Tony's house. And when meeting Tom, I was like, Tom, look, I believe in starting a relationship on the right foot based on honesty. So just want to let you know I'm a Giants fan and we kicked your ass. It was like the year after or the Super
Yeah.
Bowl
Yeah.
or a couple years after. So he had a good laugh. And I was like, dude, actually, I would love for you to sign something. So we did the selfie stuff, but I also had him sign something. Tom Brady's probably, I love the guy, the work ethic, all of it. But that's probably the biggest autograph.
Wow. That's not bad. That's not bad. Um, Favorite action movie?
Favorite action movie. Do Van Damme movies count?
Of course.
Bloodsport.
Oh, that's a great one.
Bloodsport. It's
That's
a
a
good
great
movie.
first one.
Soundtrack on repeat. Say that again.
Which one?
Yeah, first one.
First one. The original.
Bloodsport, and Kickboxer. They're like side by side. It
Oh,
depends what.
Kickboxer was amazing. I
Yeah,
actually
give me
like Kickboxer.
tango. So
I
good.
like Kickboxer more, but people don't remember
Yeah,
Kickboxer.
they're both great. Something about the like the so I practice Muay Thai. I truly love it. I go to Costa Rica once a year to like train and fine tune skills. something about the training montage in Bloodsport, how he comes up and he's got the Shidoshi, something about that whole thing. Like I really love the culture of it.
Yep.
But Kickboxer's dope too, revenge and like who doesn't like a good like comeback story,
Of course. Favorite smell?
Favorite smell? Chocolate. I love
Really?
chocolate.
Dark chocolate?
I love chocolate. Any chocolate. Like any chocolate.
Okay. Good to know. Get Eugene some chocolate. All right. Exercise. Are you like a CrossFit guy or a weights Globo gym guy?
I am newly again. Wait, I used to be really strong. I mean, when I was younger, I benched like 325. I was a really strong dude. So I'm back. I just got up hundreds on incline dumbbells. That felt really strong. That felt good. But most things in life, I'm not an or guy. I'm an and guy. And so for me, it's weights, and I love both basketball and Muay Thai. So I do that a lot.
Beautiful.
I do a lot of basketball and Muay Thai.
Flat or sparkling water? If you pick one song to listen to for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Probably Jay-Z and Kanye. Diamonds Are Forever, that remix.
Oh, nice.
He's got a bar in there that I love. Difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man. I use that in my interviews. That's a
great one.
It's a good line. It's a good bar.
Sparkling or flat water?
Oh, definitely sparkling.
Yeah,
love a good club soda.
Big soda guy. Seltzer guy. What number am I thinking of?
7.
Damn. Yeah, I gotta stop using that word. Yeah, you got it. I've done this. I've asked that question probably 10 times. I think 8 out of 10 times when my mind goes to 7, people say 7, and I'm always like, don't do 7, and I keep picking 7.
That's why, because your mind can't differentiate. Your mind doesn't hear do or don't do. It's like, don't hit the pole. What happens?
Yeah, and I go right to 7. I'm like, I know he's gonna say it. I know he's gonna say it. Damn it.
Well, or maybe you just become the world's greatest mentalist.
Yeah, I should just.
There you go.
I should just quit all this.
Just own it. There you go.
Yeah, I just hope we keep hitting. I got to keep guessing that you say 7, and I'll be all set. So last question. Can you describe the rest of your life in 5 words?
Helping, serving, dreaming, owning, fulfilled.
Eugene, it was a pleasure. Where can everybody check you out and find out more information on you?
I have a very, very cryptic Instagram name. So if you don't write this down, you're not going to find it. It is my first name followed by my last name.
Oh.
Eugene Litvak on Instagram. Very cryptic, very difficult to find by design. Yeah, man, follow me, man. Follow me. I'd love to follow you back. I'd love to see what's going on with the world. I love people. I love learning. So, I mean, start with IG, but like, yeah, if you want to email me, first initial last name, elitvak@compass.com, really easy. But yeah, hit me up. I love this. This is what I live for, man. It's not the real estate, it's the people. So hit me up.
So it's the, let's see. You just got to follow for me, my man. Go to this guy's Instagram. It's awesome. Do it. Listen, you're awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. We will absolutely have you back, and I appreciate it, man. You dropped a ton of knowledge on us, and you're really, really awesome. So I hope to come to New York City and hang out with you and have some tequila pretty soon.
Don't hope, man. Make it happen. Don't hope.
Make it happen. Absolutely.
No hopium. Actions. Let's go, baby. Mike, thanks, man. Thanks. This is beautiful what you're doing. Mad respect.
Thank you, brother. And we'll talk soon.
All right, guys. Have a good one, everyone.
Here's Lifestyle Podcast, guys. Take care. Till next time.